Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Arrow. 7 episodes this time, hopefully. So that's episode 702, The Longbow Hunters, 703, Crossing Lines, 704, Level 2, 705, The Demon, 706, Due Process, 707, The Slabside Redemption, and 708, Unmasked, which premiered October 22nd, 29th, November 5th, 12th, 19th, 22nd, and December 3rd of 2018. So you could pretty much say it's the span of Oliver's time in prison, plus the episode of his release. So, huge spoiler, if you haven't seen the first 8 episodes of this season, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. I'm going to try to do this in 30 minutes, as best I can. Just a heads up, this format is a little different than when I do them individually. I'm going to talk about each category and then talk about all 7 episodes and then move on to the next category. So it's kind of get comparison sense though. Also, I've compiled this chart, so it'll help me because there's no way I can remember 7 weeks worth of stuff that I need to talk about. So hopefully I'll stick to the points, but if there's something I suddenly remember and I might go on a tangent, I do apologize, but I'll try to do this in 30 minutes. So let's start the clock. Let's begin with what happened in these episodes. But first off, though, Oliver did mention in 708 that he's been away from Felicity for 7 months. So at least we get like a time frame of a sense of just how long it's been since 623 to 708 is roughly 7 months. So there's that. So main plot reminders, I guess you could say, for these 7 episodes. So 702, pretty much you had that Argus is targeting the Longbow Hunters, which are these assassins that Diaz hired. So you got one called the Silencer, you have one called Red Dart. She really has a flair, not only being in red, but dishing out these trank darts. And then you have one guy called Kodiak, and he has this big shield that he carries with. So there's that, but the Silencer is like a very formidable adversary against Black Siren Canary, because it really cancels out their abilities. So there's that. I went too far in a tangent there. Okay, 703's main plot point was the fact that Lila, Oliver, and Felicity all crossed the line in some points in their respective storylines to do the right thing. With 704, this one pretty much, you see Oliver getting sent to level 2, where he gets a psych evaluation, pretty much having everything that he was fighting for kind of turned against him, or try to make it so that what he was doing was wrong. Also, we get the Silencer resisting interrogation tactics done by Felicity. So there's that. 705, which was titled The Demon, is pretty much, the reminder was the fact that Oliver had to try to survive level 2. And he was trying to expose this unauthorized psych experiments that were happening in the inmates at Slabside. So there was that. But after the end of the episode, he gets sent back to level 1, so all is good, which goes to 706. With Due Process, the main plot reminder I could say would be that Anatoly returns, and he is saved and recruited to help the team stop Diaz, pretty much. And this is where we kind of see Felicity straddling the line once again of what she's willing to do to bring Oliver back to her. Now, 707 was the epic one, and that's pretty much the main plot reminder, which is pretty much the only plot that happened in the episode, was Oliver versus Diaz while inside Slabside. So Diaz infiltrated the prison just so that he could get a shot at Oliver, and Oliver has to fight for his freedom during the last 6 hours, I believe, of his time in prison. So that was epic, so there's that. But 708, lastly, the plot reminder for this episode was the fact that they're trying to find out not only who the new Green Arrow is, but who is trying to frame the new Green Arrow. They're trying to figure out if the new vigilante is someone they can trust, while also dealing with the fact that there could be a copycat of the copycat, since Oliver is the original, as you were. So there's that. So moving on to the most shocking moment of the episodes of all 7. 702, we have Felicity went to the FBI to get them to pretty much hold up their end of the deal, since Diaz is still on the loose while Oliver is stuck in prison, so they're kind of going back on it. I actually thought in this moment that she would go search for the new Green Arrow and kind of get them to come help her, but for her to go to the FBI, I was kind of surprised. So, shocking moment, obviously. 703 shocking moment was the fact that Felicity and Renee actually managed to capture the silencer, and they kept that a secret from the FBI when they were actually working with them. So, there's that. 704's shocking moment was from the flash forward, and that is we got to see a future Dinah and a future Zoe being vigilantes, and Dinah is actually back to being Black Canary, but she reminds me more of Sarah's version of Canary when she was all decked in black and she was working with a bow staff. So that's what future Canary reminds me of. But it's a surprise and a huge excitement to see them for the first time in that episode. But 705, we did get the shocking moment of the fact that Talia al Ghul not only survived the explosion on Lian Yu, well, she walked away with a couple of burns, though, but she was the one that everyone in the prison called the demon. So that was a surprise there. And Oliver was surprised, too, and she was stuck on level 2. So there's that. 706, due process. The most shocking moment for that episode was Stanley. For the previous episodes, up to this point, I kept calling him Oliver's buddy, because I had no idea what his name was, but we found out it's Stanley. And it turned out that he actually killed the guard and then framed Bronze Tiger for it. And he tricked Oliver into putting that framing in motion. So that was a shock there. I thought Stanley was just maybe an innocent guy, just got framed, he got put in prison. But no, the guy actually has a little ruthless side to him as well. But I guess Stanley's insanity kind of comes more out to play in 707. But we do get the few dose of it in 706, kind of questioning whether or not we should trust Stanley or not. And before that, I was actually rooting for him. Seemed like a good guy. But anyways, 707 shocking moment was strictly focused on Oliver's time in prison. That was a shock. I was kind of expecting that we still got to see out the parts outside of the prison too, like they always do with like multiple storylines. But no, this episode was solely focused on Oliver's final 6 hours inside, and it was just like, that was amazing, yet shocking as well too, because again, they usually don't do that. So there's that. And finally, 708's shocking moment has to be that the new Green Arrow is potentially Oliver's half-sister. Yeah, and I'll get to that at the very end of the video. I do have a Green Arrow update section, so we'll get right back into that. But that was the most shocking moment right there for me. Moving on to main tidbit, though. Might get a little longer. I've tried to keep it down to the top 3 things I could put down that garnered a main tidbit point to mention. But 702's tidbit was that Laurel apologized to Dinah about killing Vincent. A much-needed moment, I'd have to say. 703 showed Diaz injecting himself with something that he stole from the CDC, and apparently it made him stronger. He was able to punch a concrete pillar and have chunks of it fall away from it. It kind of reminded me of the Mirakuru serum, so I don't know if that's what's happening in this sense. If it is, by God, why is that still around? But yeah, it definitely had me worried that Diaz was a little jacked up a little more than usual. So there's that tidbit there. Tidbit for 704 was the fact that Earth 2 Felicity, we found out from Black Siren, was ruthless and owns her own empire over there on Earth 2. And that was just amazing. I really want to meet that Felicity just to see how much different she is and just how she carries herself. It's like, yes. They did not mention if she was actually friends or in close connection with Black Siren, so I'm still waiting for that. But again, you have to remember that Oliver isn't alive on Earth 2. So that's something there. Also, Bebo makes an appearance as a plush toy over there. Also, this week, the week of November 5th, I'm pretty sure Bebo appeared in all 4 shows. I think he appeared on Supergirl. I think he appeared in Legends again. That's where he made his first appearance, right? And I think on The Flash, maybe. But yeah, it was just funny. At least that toy is consistent in the whole Arrowverse. So there's that. 705, the main tidbit, was the fact that we found out that Curtis has 14 PhDs. Apparently, that's something known in the comics. Again, I don't read the comics. So this is strictly new information for me. So that was surprising there. Would like to see them more in play, though. So there's that. Also, we had a side story with Argus having secrets and some conspiracies maybe, or some, yeah. So anyways, there's that. 706's tidbit though I did notice that Black Siren has tattoos on her left hand as well as on her wrist. I don't know why I never noticed that before. So maybe it's because we finally got a close-up shot of it when she was visiting Oliver in prison and on that phone and stuff. But I didn't notice that. So tidbit right there. Also, we found out that in that episode, Curtis made a mention of the fact that his birthday was last week. So it definitely would have to be from the time between the demon and due process. So 705 and 706. So there's that. 707's main tidbit was the fact that we get an unstable Stanley escaping Slabside after what I assumed was him killing Brickwell, because he did stab him in the side. We also get Samson, aka Stardust, dying by fire, because I'm pretty sure he was burned alive. Or I don't know how exactly he'd survive, unless maybe he got burns if someone put out the fire. But the place was kind of going up in flames, so it's I doubt it. So I'm assuming he's dead. And then also we get Diaz supposedly dying in Oliver's cell at the very end of the episode, which I will mention again later on. So keep that in mind. And lastly, 708's tidbit was the fact that that decoded painting that was first brought up in 705, I believe, apparently there's messages inside of it, which is crazy to even think about. But also we do see the return of the original Arrow bunker, and it is still destroyed from the explosion that Prometheus had done to it. So it's no one has repaired it. I kind of expected while Oliver was gone that maybe they would have spruced up the place to return it to its former glory, but I guess not, which sucks. It was like the end of an era. It's just you didn't want to fix it, and that was a little disappointment, but we did get to see it again. So at least it's still built on the Arrow set. So there is that. But let's move on to top favorite moments. Can't do top 3, just because maybe there's a top 2, just because I got to keep it short. But for 702, my favorite moment I can remember for this one was the fact that we get Oliver, and I actually wrote it in my notes, Oliver and Buddy, but we know that's Stanley. Oliver and Stanley doing some recon inside the prison. It was just very interesting. What I liked about this was because you got to, even though Stanley's there, we pretty much get to see Oliver operate on his own. We pretty much get to see what it was like for him to figure out things, how to improvise, how to do all this stuff that we got to see him do in season 1 when he was working solo as the vigilante, and what we got to see during his missions in the flashbacks and stuff on the island and everything. So it was very great to see Oliver put his skills to good use, how he can show that he's smart in his own right. He can figure things out. He has a way of putting things together. He has a way of picking things up from other people, type of thing. It was just really great to see Oliver showcasing these skills once again, because we do see him kind of rely certain aspects to other people when they're available to him, instead of him actually doing some things himself. So it was just great to see him doing the legwork type of thing. Not saying that he doesn't. It's just well, you get what I mean. So anyways, that was a favorite there. For 703, my favorite has to be Oliver's fight scenes. Pretty much in that the inmate arena that Brickwell had set up. And then the fact that he killed it while he was also injured from stabbing himself to prevent a guard from being killed. And Oliver was just on point. I mean, there's a reason why he kicked all those criminals' asses as the Green Arrow. So it's just, I'm glad he held his own. I'm glad he showed that he's not someone that they can mess with. And so there's that. 704, a favorite of mine has to be during Oliver's psych evaluations. We got to see more of a psychic analysis on the infamous raft memory that Oliver has in episode 102, specifically his last moments with Robert Queen. It's really interesting to get the interpretations of that from the doctor's point of view, and then also to get that altered with Oliver and William in the raft, and how different Oliver would have chosen to do that scene if it was his own son in him in that situation. It was just very It's interesting how they brought old archive footage into it and then how they altered it to make it look like a shift in like a dream and such. So that was pretty cool there. 705's favorite scene was once again Oliver's fight scenes. They're very impressive. I really love the fact that you really go all out even though Oliver is in prison. So I really like that. Another favorite was also the fact that we got to see the team up between Felicity, Laurel, and Dinah when they try to find a way to save Oliver from level 2 before he loses himself in the experimentations as the purpose of it. So that was a favorite there, just to see the 3 women team up was fantastic. 706, I'd have to say a favorite would have to be Laurel working to free Oliver. Just her presence in court, how she struck a deal to get Oliver out of prison in exchange for Diaz going into prison. It was just really great to see her determination to fix the injustice done against Oliver. So it was pretty cool there. It kind of sucked when like he was kind of like doubting her efforts and stuff, but you could really see that she was truly trying. And then like I also like the fact that that was also the determination was also what kind of convinced Dinah of the fact that Black Siren was trying. So I really appreciate the efforts there. Now a 707, this whole episode was just amazing, but one key thing that really stood out for me as my favorite was the fact that Oliver teamed up with Bronze Tiger. It was just great to see how they were able to work off of each other, how they were able to take down pretty much a whole prison just to get to Diaz and stop him and just save the guards as well. It was a great team up. I really hope we do see Bronze Tiger redeem himself and kind of get out of prison and like maybe like make amends with Oliver or do something like an unofficial team up with him or something. It would just be great to see them working together again because I really liked it in that episode. It definitely highlighted their strength. It showed how much of a powerhouse the two of them are together when they're working together instead of being against each other. So that was great. And finally, 708's favorite moment has to be the fact that Oliver is back as the Green Arrow, and he's doing it without the mask. He's taking control of the fact that he is the Green Arrow. Everybody knows he's the Green Arrow, so why does he have to hide it anymore? So that was pretty fantastic. He also shot an arrow behind him without looking where he's targeting. It was one of his trick shot arrows, but that was like still amazing. It's like he's definitely not rusty from his 7 months in prison. So there's that. It also was a favorite, the fact that he's now officially a part of the SCPD, so he can't be arrested as a vigilante because he's part of the police force. It's just he wears a different uniform. He's pretty much like the people's, he's giving his presence is meant to give the people hope that there is justice and to get them to believe in the police force once again. So it was just really great to see Oliver back in the suit and just doing what he does, and that's to save the city. And it was also great when it was like when Max Fuller, an old a character from season 1, asked Oliver, they put you in jail for trying to save the city. Why are you doing it? Why are you trying to save them now when they've like kind of rewarded you for your efforts by punishing you? And Oliver's like, old habits, I guess. And it was more like, even though they punished him for it, he's still willing to help them to do what was right. So that was awesome right there. Also, pretty much, I've realized that a lot of my favorites for the last 7 episodes, most likely they included Oliver's fight scenes. I will have to say, out of all the Arrowverse shows, the fight scenes on Arrow are truly fantastic. I mean, you got like Flash and Supergirl are great with like their power confrontations and stuff and those special effects. But when it comes to the hand-in-hand combat, Legends is good with Sarah and stuff. But like when it's true hand-in-hand combat and like choreo for like those stunts and everything, Arrow really just, it's top-notch. And it's just like, it's always impressive. And it just really shows the depth of skill that these characters are meant to have. And you could like feel it in those scenes. So it's like, I truly appreciate the fight scenes there. It takes great skill to try to pull that off. So there's that. So moving on to top peeve moment. each episode has one. I'm sad to say it, but 702, the P for that one was the fact that Felicity didn't have Diggle's back. Instead of them being a team together, they were pretty much on opposite ends, and she was pretty much undermining every move that he had when he was trying to make with Argus. So that was a peeve there. 703's peeve was the fact that Diaz got away with his CDC vials. I mean, that's a dangerous thing waiting to happen. It was hilarious, though, that he was just in the background taking them into his custody with his sweet time, and then there was a whole bunch of different fight scenes in the background. It's like, nope, don't mind me, let me just take these vials, you do what you do type of thing. It was just like weird. So there's that. It just sucked that he got away with something that he had planned. So there's that. 704, a peeve of mine had to be the fact that Dinah trying to it was pretty much a peeve that Dinah was trying to intervene in the vigilante business that was going on. She wanted to arrest the new Green Arrows. She wanted to lock them away when like also in that same episode, you got future Dinah being a vigilante. So it's like in that episode specifically, I preferred future Dinah a lot more than present day Dinah. And that was just truly weird for me because they were just like two different opposite sides of the spectrum on that issue. So there's that. 705's peeve with the fact that Diaz is torturing Anatoly in Moscow, and somehow the censor knew to meet him there. And it's like, yeah, and then with this jacked up version of Diaz, it's like Anatoly didn't stand a chance. It didn't look like the Bravka stood a chance even. So it's just like, he's like one crazy SOB for sure. But 706's peeve was the fact that Stanley played Oliver. He lied and tricked him to get him to put Bronze Tiger in isolation. I mean, I should have known better. It's like, he used the innocent card. They'll try to be like playing a victim so that it gets Oliver to protect him and stuff. Even though for a while Oliver was like, no, like stay away from me type thing. So there's that. And another peeve, 708. This is a huge one. Wait, I skipped 707, my bad. The peeve for that one was the fact that Diaz was able to infiltrate Slabside, a prison. It's like, how, like, what the fuck? I mean, like, he was able to do this while he was supposed to be transferred to the prison as a prisoner. I mean, this right here just showed there's no loyalty in that justice system there. There's no, like, honor code or anything like that. It's like someone can flash you a whole bunch of money. It's like, oh, let's throw out my morals and just take the cash. It's like, no, that's just so wrong. So that was a peeve there. Now my 708 peeve is the fact that Diaz is alive and he's now in Argus custody. I mean, I'm glad that he's in Argus custody, but I would have preferred if Diaz was dead. At least that issue would have been long gone, as it were. But it's also a peeve that Diggle's keeping that bit of information from Oliver and Felicity. Right? So it's just like, what the hell? So there's that. Now, also because this video is covering 7 episodes, I also included 2 different sections that I normally wouldn't. First one being flash forward updates, and then the second one being Green Arrow updates. Actually, now that I look at the chart though, whenever there was a flash forward update, there was a Green Arrow appearance as well too. Except for 702, which I'll get into. So let's talk about the flash forwards too, which are just a fantastic mystery in itself. But with 702, we do have an adult William. We find out that an adult William was abandoned by Oliver and Felicity. And it was the arrowhead that Felicity had given Oliver in that episode in the present day that led William to Oliver's bow on Lian Yu, his trading bow there. So that was the flash forward part for 702. 703, there was no scenes for the flash forward, or for the future, I should say. But 707, we do see the future, and this is where we meet future Dinah and future Zoe back in Star City when Roy takes William back. So with future Zoe, we find out she's a part of a vigilante resistance. We also find out that Felicity is dead, so she is not the one that's leading William to these coordinates that he's been getting from the arrowhead. We also find out that Renee left Star City. We also find out that Smoke Technologies has been abandoned. So it was established at one point. So there's that. And Smoke Technologies was included in the future that we saw in Legends episode 106 of Star City. So there's that. Also, we found out that William had gone into technology as a field of study. And it was all because of Felicity. So there's that. Now, there wasn't any future stuff in 705, but in 706, we do find out that Felicity went by the name The Calculator, like her father, very recently in their future. And she was killed recently, and she left behind plans to level the rest of Star City with explosives so that it was pretty much on the same playing field as the Glades. Also, this episode showed future Dinah questioning whether or not they could trust William or not. We do also find out that Roy found an important message that means something to him and Dinah and Oliver's training bow, which is why he agreed to bring William back to Star City. We also get the name of Felicity's last contact before she died, and that was Black Star. So skip 707 because that one was solely focused on Oliver's time in final hours in prison. But 708 returns to the future, and we meet Black Star, and that's actually played by Kat McNamara, aka Clary Frey from Shadowhunters, and she was badass in her debut here. But we do find out that she is a broker, and she seems to be a champion fighter in the ring. I don't know if that's MMA fighting or boxing or something, but she could definitely hold her own. And she appears to be hiding something when William and the rest of them question her. And actually, Roy's not in this episode because he would have been spotted in this fight club thing. So there's that. We also found out that Renee could potentially be running the Glades, as it seems only Zoe seems to be welcomed in the Glades, and she did make a comment about the fact that, well, it's about time I go visit my father type thing. But Dinah and Roy are not invited in the Glades, or they're not welcome in the Glades, so there's that. Also, we do find out why Roy returned to the city and when he looked at Oliver's training bow, and that was because a certain mark was left as a message, and that was the marker 4. And it's a tattoo that Dinah has, and it was created by Oliver. And the marker 4 pretty much represents courage, compassion, selflessness, and loyalty. And it was meant in times of struggle, if one pillar fell, the other 3 were supposed to help hold it up. So it's pretty much supposed to represent the team. All we know is that Oliver, Dinah, and Roy know the meaning of the mark. Maybe all 3 of them have the same tattoo that Dinah seems to have. But there is that. Now, moving on to my Green Arrow update. So, the new Green Arrow doesn't appear in 702 or 703. But in 704, we do find out that the Green Arrow is shorter than Renee and is also trying to stop the latest arson attacks in the Glades. So they're a protector of the Glades. Now, they don't appear in 704, or 705, I should say, sorry. But in 706, it appears that the new Green Arrow helps them to capture Diaz officially. So that he's able to do the whole prison transfer, which leads to 707, which the new Green Arrow, again, doesn't appear because it's focused on Oliver. But the new Green Arrow does appear in 708, and rightfully so is it called Unmasked, because it not only refers to Oliver going as the Green Arrow unmasked, but we do find out who is behind the new Green Arrow mask. We don't have a name, but she appears to be a future gymnast. She definitely trains with those rings that gymnasts usually work with that hang from the ceiling. She's pulling herself up, doing different like pull-ups, arm strengthening exercises and stuff like that. But she also visits the grave of Robert Queen and refers to it as father. So that means she has to be a half sister of Oliver. So who's her mom? I thought when they were showing before they showed the gravestone, she was talking to her father and mentioned that Oliver seemed to be the person she always thought he would be, or the type of character he'd always seemed to be. And then before, at the very end, it panned to show you which tombstone she was actually talking to. For some reason, I thought maybe Malcolm Merlin, but Robert Queen makes sense. It also brings up the question of who the hell is her mother? Why is she appearing up only now? And it pretty much think Oliver has no idea about her. So there is that. So let's move on to random questions. Again, first one was the fact, like, who is the new Green Arrow? Is she actually Oliver's half sister? What's her actual connection to Robert Queen and all that? What's her name even? We don't even have a name for that. For her, we just know like her face and like maybe she has that type of connection. So there's that. And also, where has she been this whole time? is she connected to another character that we already known before? Like maybe that's her mother, or she like completely someone brand new. Or I'm also wondering if she's been connected to Robert Queen, has there been hints or clues to her existence in the past in regards to any mention of the Queen family or something? Like, I'm wondering about that. But another question is, why is Diaz alive? Seriously, I want to know. How is he still alive? He should be dead. Like, gone. Bye. I'm done with him. So there's that. Third question, is Felicity really dead in the future? I honestly don't want to believe that she is. Maybe she's faked her death. Maybe she had to do that because someone's trying to come after her. Maybe she's going undercover or something to try to find out the real person behind such corruption. I have no idea. I really hope she's not dead, though. But yeah. So there's that. Another question. Who else has or knows about the Mark of 4 tattoo? I mean, as I said before, it looks like only Oliver, Dinah, and Roy know about it. I wonder if every other member of Team Arrow, like Felicity, Diggle, Curtis, if they got the tattoo, Renee even later on, or if it's something that only 4 people have, because it is meant to be the Mark of 4, which is pretty cool. Could have came up with a better name though, but Mark of the significance and the significance behind it is cool. So there's that. Also, next question, will Stanley be a threat on the outside now that he's escaped Slabside? There's the timer there. I mean, I have a feeling we're going to see him again. How far into the episodes that will be, I have no idea. I wonder if Oliver even knows that he escaped Slabside. So there's that. And last question, if Oliver is on SCPD as the Green Arrow, is he kind of like their mascot or their version of like a symbol of hope? Kind of like how Supergirl was that's the face of the DEO in a sense. Or the Flash is like an actual like the face of the people type thing. So there is that question there. But because the timer went off, I'll just go very quickly into predictions. So the next episode, 709, is the crossover event. It's actually Arrow episode. It's going to be part 2 of the Elseworlds crossover. So they don't show a promo, but the last scene of the episode for 708 did show the same last scene that premiered on episode 408 of Supergirl. And that was pretty much this destructive end scene happening on Earth 90, where the Flash of the 90s TV show, played by John Wesley Shipp, is kind of has that final confrontation with the Monitor, asking why is he doing this, and he's saying like, you brought this on yourself. So he opens up this book, and the Flash makes a run for it before he's affected by whatever the effects of the book are. That's the same scene that this Supergirl 408 ended on. Same scene that episode 408 or 708 ended for Arrow. I'm pretty sure they're going to do the same thing with episode 508 of The Flash, just so that fans of each show that don't necessarily watch all the shows can have the same tee off into the crossover next week. So, if you don't want to hear what the synopsis for part 2 is going to say, either close your ears or don't look at the screen, because I will say it now. But it doesn't really spoil what's going to happen in part 1. It just tells you what other new characters we're going to see in part 2. And that is the fact that with Oliver and Barry still stuck in the others' bodies, the two get a lead on John Deegan and head to Gotham City with Supergirl to figure out why the reality has changed. While there, they meet the mysterious Kate Kane, played by Ruby Rose, who provides them with information that leads the group to Arkham Asylum. As you know, Ruby Rose is meant to play Batwoman, who they are in production of trying to make as another spin-off, I guess you could say. So that's exciting there. So it looks like we're going to get 2 episodes of where Barry and Oliver have switched lives with each other. So I'm not sure if all 3 episodes are going to be them like that, but we have seen promotional photos of the 2 of them switching costumes and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see how this all works out. I'm definitely interested in the concept of Elseworlds, just figure out what exactly has switched between them and what's changed. Has anything changed? It's just maybe like it's the wrong person experiencing it. So that'll be something there. Also, they did release a few teaser trailers, 4 of them, I believe, of like Oliver, Barry, and Kara realizing they're in the wrong reality, I guess you could say. Oliver realizing that he's married to Iris and she thinks he's Barry Allen. We got Barry trading with Diggle and then realizing that he's the Green Arrow. We got Kara locked away in the pipeline and realizing that Alex doesn't see her as a sister as they work in the pipeline. So it has me wondering, are they on Earth 1 in this, or is it happening on Earth 38? And then you got the teaser of Barry and Cisco finding Batwoman in Gotham City. So that is all fantastic. I definitely can't wait to see all that. But what do you guys think of 7 episodes of Arrow? What do you think of this season so far? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog, promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. A little behind, but I try to catch up. So there's that. Also, WordPress account is linked down below. Everything I post online is connected to that account. It's more detailed, it's more organized, but it's still a work in progress. So be aware for that. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience for this video. It's a 7 weeks in waiting. But I do hope you come back for next week's episode, as I will talk about the crossover episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.